It's a strange idea that comfort in and of itself might actually be dangerous. It's counterintuitive, and at first blush you would think irrational. Comfort is surely the movement away from danger. So how could you say, if we're seeking comfort, that that's dangerous? You could almost define comfort by the movement away from danger. If something was dangerous, you move away from it, you're moving from danger to comfort. So how does danger re-enter when we are seeking comfort? First things first, I want to say that from an evolutionary point of view, it makes no sense whatsoever to deliberately seek danger. It makes no sense whatsoever from an evolutionary standpoint, based in the terrains and the environments that we as the biological machines that we are evolved in, to actually go out and turn your back on comfort, turn your back on safety, turn your back on pleasure, and actively go out to take more risks than necessary. If you did that, you could even go so far as to say that would be maladaptive, and probably your genes would simply die out, because those entities, those human beings that were consistently risk-taking and comfort-avoiding, would simply die due to their tendencies to avoid comfort and seek risk. Makes sense, right? However, we live in a different environment, an environment that we are not evolved to cope with, where there is an excess of comfort and almost no danger whatsoever. So we evolved for a very, very long timeline, the vast majority of the timeline, an environment where it was so dangerous, the entity was surrounded by so much risk and so much danger that, generally speaking, the most adaptive thing that entity could do would be to seek comfort, to seek safety, and to avoid danger. Then at the end of this very, 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 very long timeline, the overwhelming majority of the time that we have been humans and the creatures that we were before we evolved into humans, that was the rule. Huge amounts of danger, huge amounts of risk in the environment. Seek comfort every day, all the time, at all costs. Your very survival depends on it. Now though, at the very, very tiniest end of this tippy top end of the timeline, we've created an environment. Comfort is everywhere. Danger and risk is nowhere to be found. And in this environment, the comfort that we've sought now has danger inside of it. Imagine living in an environment day to day, very, very scarce resources, a high chance of you dying of disease or starvation, or being brutally mauled to death by some hideous predator, or having your brains knocked out by a rival tribe whilst, I don't know, arguing over the scavenged remains of a killed antelope or something. Really, really harsh conditions. Everything in us that we've evolved to today will tend to want to conserve energy. We call this moralistic, we call this laziness, but it's, in my view, adaptive. It's a good thing to be lazy. Those of us who just burn calories for the sake of burning calories, well, they would have died. They wouldn't have procreated, they wouldn't have carried on their genes. So what happens to us today? We're lazy. We seek to burn as few calories as possible by instinct, and we're comfort seeking. Good, like you should be comfort and safety seeking. But what can happen? Well, in the modern environment that we're in now, it can really drastically reduce our sense of ourselves as being strong and resilient and capable. We also then, slowly over time, have developed an entitlement to comfort. So we, in the modern era, think comfort should be our baseline state. And if we're not comfortable, something is wrong. If you're constantly seeking to make comfort your baseline state, anything that knocks you out of comfort will be perceived as threat. And that is the new threat. So where's the danger? In the comfort zone? That's it. That we now think our baseline state should be and must be total comfort at all times, and all discomfort that comes in is seen as a threat. Why is there a danger in that? The danger in that is everything that involves achieving anything or doing anything good that's going to switch on your reward system, make you feel passionate, make you feel alive, make you feel like you're fulfilling your life's purpose, and that you're strong enough to do it, you're resilient enough to do it, you're single-minded enough to get it done despite all of the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune that will strike you. Well, all of that has now become haram. All of that is now verboten. Discomfort is bad. So I don't think we've developed a junk belief that achievement is bad, or that resilience is bad, or that self-discipline or growth or progress is bad. But we have an incongruence, which is if we believe there should be no discomfort whatsoever, it's very hard to be resilient, it's very hard to progress, and it's very, very hard to achieve anything. The only solution I can see to this is not just counterintuitive, it might even be contrary to our genetic tribes, which is we have to actively seek risk. We have to change our settings to be like, okay, I shouldn't be comfortable all the time. In fact, every day of my life, I should be uncomfortable. I should be uncomfortable psychologically. I should be uncomfortable emotionally. I should be uncomfortable physically for a period of time in a conscious, boundaried way. Seeking risk for its own sake, well, that would lead to a shorter life. I'm pretty confident saying that. But viewing life and saying, hey, I'm in the comfort zone here. I'm a little bit trapped. I don't feel very good. I feel kind of stuck. My chi is all blocked and it's making me feel cranky and weird. And I'm really trapped in this comfort zone. I'm seeking pleasure all the time. I seek avoidance of my responsibilities as a human being. I seek to avoid the discomfort of pushing outside of my comfort zone, which is where all the growth is, all the progress, all the achievement could potentially be. Physically, emotionally, financially, in every area of your life. It makes sense, right? It's not just going to come to you. If it comes to you, that's not an achievement. That's not progress. You're still inside of the comfort zone. It must be outside the cave, the comfort of the dry, warm yin cave. We have to go yang. We have to go out into the light, drive forward and make things happen. But you have to be kind of mad to do that, because it doesn't make rational sense to do that. From the point of view of your genetics will say, well, why, your genetic impulse is going to be like, well, why are we doing this? This is painful. This is risky. This is surely shortening our lifespan. However, the opposite is true. We have to be disciplined enough to transcend our base biological instincts and move outside of the comfort zone. What happens is we get addicted to comfort, and we say the baseline should be, I should be comfortable at all times. I must be in air conditioning. My body must be comfortable. I should never feel hunger. I should never feel extreme cold. I should never feel extreme heat. I should never feel strain on my muscles, on my lungs, on my pulmonary system. I should never be pushing into doing things that make me feel nervous or unsure, or like I'm taking a risk, or I could make a fool of myself even. Making a fool of yourself, by the way, we should all be willing to do that as well. You have to have the humility to be a beginner, to start again from scratch and to learn new skills in order to beat this comfort trap. Otherwise, we're addicted to comfort itself, and then we have all of these spin-off addictions. Could be prescription drugs, could be recreational drugs, could be alcohol, pornography, gambling, bad relationships. All of these become a way of avoiding the discomfort of actually moving outside the comfort zone and making real progress and experiencing real growth. So we say, oh, I'm addicted to this or I'm addicted to that. Probably what we're more addicted to at the core level is the comfort itself, is the desire, the strong impulse to avoid any and all kind of pain. What's the way around this? To change your self-perception, to see yourself as being strong, as resilient, which you are. To see yourself as being flexible and adaptive, which I don't care what your personality or your proclivities are. As a biological machine, it is provable that that is the essence of who you are, because you are here, because your ancestry and all of the genes that were passed through your ancestry to you were flexible. They were strong. They were disciplined. They were highly adaptive. So I know that you are. You must be, because here you are. All this stuff about, oh, this mental health issue, this personality style, this so on and so forth. Some of it is valid and some of it is just fluff. It's a fluff defense to keep us inside of our comfort zone, because if you peel away that armor and you say, well, no, you can't use your personality or the fact you're an introvert or an extrovert or ADHD or a Capricorn or whatever it is you're using as a buffer, as a comforter, as a pillow, as an excuse to the harsh realities, then you must face those harsh realities. And it's cold. And at first it will be uncomfortable. But everything is super uncomfortable at first. Even discomfort is uncomfortable at first. But when you reacclimatize and you set a new standard, you can get used to discomfort and you can even begin to enjoy it, because you'll start to make new neural connections that discomfort leads to growth, discomfort leads to progress. That is my thoughts on the subject anyway, for what it's worth. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for your time and for your attention, and I look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Thank you. Okay folks, the new course, Unplug from the Matrix of Narcissistic Abuse, is out now, and if you're interested in finding out more about that, please click the link below.